Hi everyone and welcome to another special Q&A video, this time with Dr. Alvin Ang of the Ateneo Eagle Watch. For today's session, we'll be talking about the Philippine economy amidst this COVID-19 crisis, and thankfully we have here Dr. Ang, who will be enlightening us about the direction of the economy. As you all know, economic news has been talk of the town lately aside from the COVID-19 news, and I'm sure many of us are indeed wondering what's up ahead for the Philippines. So Dr. Ang, our guest for today, is also our speaker for the Everyday Economics series, which you can watch on our YouTube channel today. So are you ready, sir?
Okay, yeah,
Okay, so let me
I'm
start
okay.
with the first question. Will the quarantine end, and what is the impact on the financial market?
Well, most likely, as we already know, as government has been talking about it, probably the quarantine will be modified. What I'm saying is, technically, it's ending, but it's continuing. So it's a modification. Impact on the financial markets, it depends on how many sectors, how deep is it going to be, how many will be remaining to be in quarantine. Will it be the based on geography, or will it be based on sector? So those are things we cannot answer because it is government who has to make that decision. Okay.
Second question, sir, is this going to be another global financial crisis?
This the reality. This is not just going to be a global crisis. This is going to be worse than that. What we had experienced 2008, 2009. It will be very much close to the Great Depression of the 1930s because of the extent and depth. Extent is yung lawak, how many sectors, how many countries are affected. Yung depth is the total stoppage of any economic activity in many countries around the world. So this is definitely going to be a severe one. Uh, so from that perspective, I'm not seeing a U-shaped recovery, meaning V-shaped, meaning baba, akyat. No, it's very unlikely. The best siguro is in within 1 year we will start to see some upward activity, but until the economy of the world start to produce, that's the only time we will have a recovery.
Okay, thank you for that, sir. Our next question here is, what does the government need to do to address this crisis?
Well, as we all know, there's government is the only institution essentially that has the ability to help the sectors. At the same time, it's the institution that is trying to contain the epidemic or the pandemic, but at the same time, it cannot leave the economic sectors on their own. So there has to be a lot of financial resources that government needs to put in. So we have seen already the protection of jobs, the protection of human resources. At the same time, you also need to protect industries. So in this case, there's need to be a lot of resources to be poured into this activity of the government.
Okay, thank you for that answer, sir. Our next question here is, what do you think would be the most affected industry and how would it recover in the future?
Well, the most affected are already what we have seen as early as January, which is travel, tourism, leisure, entertainment, from airline, air travel, no, everything that is related to this will have a difficult time because even if the economy, the world economy opens up, there will be very tedious and very stringent quarantine measures that will be set up all over the world. So travel will be very, very restricting, and a lot of waiting times, a lot of expenditures need to be made sure that people are free from the virus. So as long as there is no vaccine, we cannot allow people to be doing as they were a few weeks, a few weeks ago, basically.
Okay, thank you for that answer, sir. We have another question here. What is your view on the developments or changes in the cabinet structure, and how would this impact the current situation or the status quo?
Well, it can be both positive and it can also be perceived as not positive. But what is clear about this situation is that what is not positive probably is people will be understanding now that there's a lot of opinions in the cabinet, in the government on how to address this challenge. But what is going to happen is you have assigned somebody who is an undersecretary before and understands economics very well as well. So it might be to facilitate things. So I mean, just like in any management decision, there's always have to be a very good teamwork. So in this case, I think we are not going to see that any repercussion if everyone is going to help in this big problem.
Okay, thank you, sir. So another question here is, what do you think, sir, on your perspective, what would be the new normal?
That is that should be very interesting. I think people, as I said, no, until there is a vaccine, we cannot go back to the normal way of things that we are used to. So most likely, ang mangyayari diyan ay people will adjust to understanding what are the priorities now. So you have to adjust what will be your uh, moving time. No, it's like what kind of mobility will be allowed because the new normal requires that we will have distancing. We need to have masks. We need protective equipment. Plus, we cannot congregate. So most likely, uh, people will still kind of work at home. No? Those who can afford to work at home or the business allow it will work at home. Those who cannot work from home, then they will most likely will either be they need to live outside their homes, uh, parang frontline setup, and then they will have to either adjust transportation. No? So there's a lot of adjustments that needs to be made, and people's lives will be very simple because there's no expenditures other than the essentials. So since you cannot spend it on other things, I mean, dapat makasave naman na. Kung if you have the job, still the same job, same salary, people should be able to save. But if not, uh, kung nawalan ng jobs, that's a problem. No? If they lose their jobs and businesses are not open. So this is the new normal will be quite challenging for many of us. So the adjustment process is what is more challenging than the lockdown itself, no? Kasi if it takes longer, then the adjustment, how dapat people are preparing for these adjustments right now.
Yes. So aside from the structural changes, sir, there are indeed behavioral changes then, right?
Yes, definitely. The structure will change our behavior without us doing anything about it. Nandyan na. So the important thing is now to adjust to this new structure that we are facing.
Okay, thank you for that, sir. So our next question, and rather our last question for today, is for the rest of 2020, what is the impact, the general impact, the overall impact of this pandemic on the Philippine economy?
Yeah, most likely this pandemic will lead us to not just a slowdown but a contraction. So I think you have all seen how China was affected first quarter, almost -7 contraction. So that is the first signal that we had. So we are adjusting our forecast right now. I'm saying now that we are not going into a technical recession. We're going into a full recession, full year, no, not just technical, meaning contraction. Uh, our first quarter is no longer looking. We're no longer looking at more than 1% growth because we still have some activity until February. Kaya baka may growth pa. But since China already showed a deep impact, so most likely we're also pulled down by that. And then the second quarter, we already started the lockdown. 70% of your economy is closed. So definitely we will contract. There's no activity. Third quarter, even if we open the economy selectively, most likely still contraction because you're not 100%. And fourth quarter, hopefully, we bring back more than 50% of the economy. So we could target siguro at least a flat growth. So overall, you get a contraction. How deep that we are still to determine, but based on what happened to China, most likely will be within plus or minus that vicinity. And then the next year, 2021, unless the world recovers, then we will follow. That's why I am saying the new normal must be an adjustment process for all of us. So in this context, dapat those of you who are investing and are invested, the reality is there is no one who knows when this is going to abate. I mean, there is no expert really. I'm an economist and I'm an expert in normal times, but in abnormal times, I have not been in a pandemic situation, so I don't know what will happen. Really, so I can only look at past experiences, but we had never had something like this in a integrated world where we are right now. So we are in the center of historical event. So wala pong makakaalam. So what we are seeing right now is that the government tries to prop up the economy by releasing liquidity. We need to have some confidence, but at the same time, we have to be realistic that the confidence we have will also be dependent on our perspective, what happens globally, and our ability to manage this health problem. So unless that is very clear, the confidence is shaky. So even the IMF already said that. So I think we can remain invested, but be very cautious. It depends on your liquidity position. If this stretches longer, uh, do you have enough liquidity to tide you over? So those are the things we have to consider, because I think at this time, essentials are what you need to be having. So you have to be liquid in order to have that. Anyway, we cannot stock on that. So that means what we need to be stocking on is liquidity. Okay, so that's I think if this stretches beyond 2020, many economic activity businesses will be exposed and will slow down considerably and contract. So we have to bear that in mind. But that doesn't limit us from investing. So look at the sectors which you think will be essential. Okay, so definitely anything related to food is essential. Anything related to health is essential. So look at those, and then also anything related to mobility is essential. So other than that, I don't know what government would think to be essential. So they will be the one to tell us. But second guessing that, as I said, no, so we experience, no, kita na natin, the cabinet themselves have disagreements. So it's a very challenging situation for everybody.
Thank you for that, Sir Dr. Ang, and thank you also for imparting your investment advice to us investors. And thank you so much for giving light on a lot of questions that our viewers and generally all of us have been wondering about. So I'm sure the viewers of our video will be able to take away learnings on an economic perspective that can help them moving forward. Thank you again, Dr. Ang, and thank you as well to our viewers for spending the time to watch this video. Do you want to say anything, sir? before bidding bye?
Yeah, well, this is uh, this is a good time to take a stock of whatever you were not able to do in the last few years. So while you are in the house, you can do a lot of things. Also, I think most of us are more busier than in the when we are in the house than outside because you're just a Zoom or a phone call or whatever connection can be done. So let's be thankful for what we have. It's very important to be thankful right now. I'm very thankful for the internet. It was not affected by the virus, so at least we can still do this and connect with other people. So uh, that's very important. And to me, it's also very important to be taking a stock of relationships, which we have set aside because of so much busyness. So at the end of all of this, realize that there's no power, no knowledge, as I said, that knows this except God. So that's it.
Thank you so much. So, to our viewers, please don't forget to join the growing First MetroSec family on Facebook and hit subscribe to be updated with our new videos and webinars. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. As always, with First Metro Securities, it's hashtag your future first.